Okay, so listen, if you are somebody that is on the fence about learning how to trade, maybe you're a little bit cautious, you've never traded before, well, this interview is the perfect one for you to listen to. This is Tom, one of my students who joined me around about 6 or 7 months ago. He started with absolutely zero experience, and his success up until now, being a fully funded trader, shows exactly how far you can come if you focus and stay disciplined towards the process that you're being taught. So give this one a watch. There is going to be a lot to learn from this if you're somebody that's on the fence, and I'll see you in the next one. I want to start from really how it all started and sort of before we took the leap, because I think the process of sort of getting the ball rolling was a little bit of a difficult one for us, wasn't it? I think we had a number of calls. I think you spoke to George a number of times, and we did eventually get there. And obviously now you've been able to get to the stage where you're consistent, you're funded, and you're doing good things now. So just to give me a bit of a background as to sort of what your life was like, sort of pre-WeTrade, pre-trading.
If I can remember what it was like. Yeah, it was, I work obviously full time. I've got 2 kids. And life was just kind of busy, full on. But it got to the point where, as much as I enjoy my job, it was kind of a struggle to get up for it in the morning. And it was like, it was almost as though my brain kind of needed somewhere else to go. And it was literally like, I've always been fascinated with the foreign exchange markets and trading and stuff, and never kind of, done anything about it. And then it was a case of, scrolling through Facebook, and which you do all the time, and just sort of seeing one of your videos. And I've seen loads of them in the past. So it was weird how it was like, I don't know why, but yours just took my attention a bit more. And obviously I clicked on it and just kind of sent a message, and that's when it started. And then obviously I had a call. I think I was at work, and I was in my work van, and I had a call with the other George. And obviously he was really nice, and we had a good chat. But and it was weird because I was terrified. I was like,
I do remember.
Oh, it's just such a strange feeling. Because you're like, what am I scared of? Obviously there's the financial side of it and stuff, but and I'm not, it sounds stupid, but it's literally one of the best calls kind of ever, really, because the last sort of 8 months it's been a roller coaster, which obviously I expected. But it's been brilliant. That's kind of what I can say, really. It's been an absolutely superb journey so far.
No, definitely.
And I kind of still feel like I'm right at the start of it still, because there's obviously hopefully, a lot further to go.
Yeah.
So that's kind of it.
No, definitely. I think this is one of the reasons why I think I wanted to get you on a call. Obviously, we've now been able to get you to the stage where you understand what you're doing, you're consistent, you've been able to get funded, but the journey definitely wasn't smooth. And I think it's a real testament to people understanding that being on the fence is a very, very dangerous place, right? You've got to be in or you've got to be out. And I think you were on the verge of going either way at one point. But
100%.
Luckily, we did get you over the right edge, and we're obviously in a good position now.
Definitely.
But what specifically about trading was sort of attractive to you? I mean, what was the main reason that you wanted to get into trading as opposed to sort of other online businesses?
I mean, I think being the age 37 now, so the younger kind of generation. Let's go back to when I was a bit younger. There wasn't the money. You didn't kind of know about the money that you can make online like there is now. So that, and it wasn't really about the money, to be fair. It was just kind of, numbers and stuff have always kind of been a thing in my brain. And it was just kind of the fascination of kind of how it worked. And kind of knowing and thinking that, that is something I could do, slightly autistic in ways. And so that's kind of where it came from. And it was just kind of a fascination with it. And it's been there.
Yeah.
I've looked at them for years, but just looking, like, never done anything with them at all.
Yeah. So before joining us, you'd never actually traded before at all?
Not at all. Not a penny. No. not even
Wow.
practice trial accounts, nothing,
Wow. I mean, even
nothing
that
at
in
all.
itself is a real testament, right? I mean, it's been a relatively quick journey from zero to something. So
Yeah,
again, very well done there. So talking about that decision then, that decision to join us as opposed to other people. I mean, why did you just sort of decide to actually join WeTrade? I mean, did you have calls with other people, or what sort of attracted you to us as opposed to, again, other education companies?
I hadn't had any calls with anyone. I hadn't even inquired with anyone else. I'd seen thousands and thousands of videos, and it
Hmm.
was you kind of I don't know why. I just looked at all them others, and it was just it doesn't seem real. Doesn't seem real. And obviously, I even had them thoughts when I was talking to George. I was like, none of these are, they're all fake. They're all fake. Like there's a lot of people do. I see it in the comments and stuff on your videos, and it kind of annoys me a bit now. But I was the same. So always kind of a very good judge of character, and I kind of it sounds a bit. You just seemed very genuine, and obviously when I had the chat with George, and then I had a chat with you, you were just both very genuine, very honest.
Hmm.
And the other ones, I don't know. It's hard to explain, but definitely the genuine. You just seem very genuine, and it
Yeah.
was. The other thing was as well. Obviously, I work full time. I have two kids, and it was kind of the strategy that we use and the time scale and the
Hmm.
time we do it is obviously it suits me down to the ground near enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
that
Yeah. I mean,
that was a massive thing.
yeah. On that as well. I mean, one of the questions that I want to ask is how have you managed to actually trade and also learn around having a full-time job? And I mean, is there anything in specific that you set in terms of a routine to sort of make this work, or how did you
Yeah,
manage that process?
I mean, when I was doing the course, it was evenings. I'd get home every evening. The kids would go to bed, and I'd sit up till 10, 11 o'clock going through the
Hmm.
course. And obviously, that took as long as it took. I can't really quite remember. And then obviously, some bits I went back over it again. Um, and then I just got into a morning routine. Before I'd kind of, I have to leave at 7:30, 7:45 ish. Sometimes a little bit later, depending on like where my first job is. Um, but I just got, before I'd kind of, if I had to leave the house at 7:30, I'd roll out of bed at 7:15, chuck my work clothes on, and walk out the door. And it was, but now it's like 6:15, my alarm goes off, and I hop out of bed in the mornings now. Whereas before, I'd be
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm not getting up, I'm not getting up. But yeah, hop out of bed, straight on my laptop, make a cup of tea, and I'm on the charts from 6:20, and I've done it every morning. I haven't missed a morning apart from
Hmm.
Christmas time, the
Yeah.
week in between Christmas and New Year, uh, and that is my routine. And then the kids will kind of come down. My daughter normally comes down first. She'll come and sit on my lap for a bit while but that's before kind of 7, so it's not too bad. Um, and then it's kind of like, I'm on the laptops, obviously set alerts and stuff. I'll make the kids breakfast. I'll make the missus a cup of tea. So it kind of
Yeah.
fits. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes it's a bit, the kids. I'm like, right,
Yeah.
give me a
Yeah.
minute. But it works,
Hmm.
and that's the one good thing about it. And then obviously a lot of the trades are placed when I'm at work. Sometimes I'm driving to work in the van and I'll pull over and I'll
Yeah.
put a trade on. So a lot
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
trading I do is on my phone.
Hmm.
Um, but it works, and then obviously we get to a point in the day where you've either placed a trade or you haven't, and then you can forget about it for the rest of the day,
Yeah.
which is for me absolute perfect.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the benefits of trading with mechanical strategies like we do. Again, it's like it either meets the rules and we take a trade,
Yeah,
or it doesn't, and we don't, and we come back the next day. And I think a lot of people that are working jobs and working 9 to 5s that do live busy lives, they can use mechanical strategies to actually be able to benefit from the markets, right? Because if you're sitting there and you have to stare at a screen every session, London session, New York session, then it's just not going to work. But the way that we trade is obviously super refined. We know exactly what we're looking for, so it's not a case of needing to sit there and and stare at the
no,
screen. Like I mean, I've said it before, I probably trade less than 5 hours a week, if that,
Yeah.
in a lot of
Yeah.
cases, because it is, I mean, it takes 5 minutes to do the analysis in the morning and set your alerts, and then you're pretty much day done, and you just wait for them to go off, and it is very, very simple.
Yeah.
It is. So on that then, obviously you learned the strategies, you got through the program, you built that consistency. How did you find making the transition from going from demo trading to starting your first funding challenge? How did you sort of deal with that process?
The kind of going back a little bit, the hardest bit for me, or the bit that took me by surprise, was the mental side of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, learning the strategy for me on a personal level wasn't the most difficult thing. Because it's, you know, in my head, it's not difficult. The mental side of it for me took me by surprise and was the bit I found the most difficult. But you know, I got to the point now, and before I'd done the challenge, where you just stop. You know, and I see it in the community now. You know, people are so desperate to place trades every day, and you know, I've been there, and I was like it, and you know, even I'll be sitting there and going, "No, why is he so stupid? You're so stupid." You know, what? But you just got to, you know, patience is the biggest thing. And luckily, kind of, I learned that before going on to do the challenge. So when I'd done the challenge, it wasn't, you know, I got past that point and I was quite relaxed about it, and very methodical. And your words stick in my head all the time, and I'm finding it boring already to a point.
Yeah,
but that's kind of where in my head I wanted to get to, and I wanted it to be methodical and boring day to day. You know, the same thing, and that's how it has to be. And that's how you get rid of a lot of the losing trades. The challenge obviously was mentally different, because you kind of, you know, you're sort of a bit more nervous and stuff. But I didn't. There was a couple of trades I missed because I was at work, and unfortunately in areas where, you know, the signal was terrible because I was doing it on my phone. So I'd have probably passed it a little bit quicker than I did. But I didn't. It wasn't. I was kind of at the point where I was ready for it. You know, I probably could have took a challenge a bit earlier and messed it up and stuff, but I didn't. You know, the course for me was something I really wanted to do, and I really wanted it to do properly, and I really only wanted it to do it for myself. So I kind of put a lot into it. Definitely.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And again, I think it clearly shows, right? I mean, you've gone from somebody that's never traded before in, I mean, a matter of months, somebody that has now got capital behind them to go and make a really good amount of money from their trading. So again, it obviously shows when you do put the dedication in, you actually listen to what you're being taught, right? You can very quickly start getting results. And I mean, on your point there, I mean, there's definitely people in the community now that haven't really made that mental switch, where they're still sort of leaning on the side of worrying about the profits.
Yeah.
But what they don't understand is that if they worry about the profits, then they forget about the process. But really, if they focus on the process, then that's how they're going to start seeing the profits, right? Because the profits are just a byproduct of mastering that process. So it is difficult. It is definitely difficult, because the only reason you get into trading is to make money.
Yeah.
So
and
for you to...
just quickly on that, you know, I've had my funded account now for 2 weeks, and I've placed one trade, I think. Yeah, one. And that was the one where we got taken out of break even. You know, so I could have got that account and been like, right, I'm desperate to make money, but you don't. You have to do the opposite and wait. That's definitely the biggest thing for me. It was the biggest thing to get to that point. And then I strongly believe, you know, with the strategy, that if you do that and you stick to it, to every rule, then you will come out profitable at the end of it.
Yeah. And I often think that that's a lot of people's downfalls, right? They often move the goalposts a little bit, and then they move them again the day after, and then the week after they move them again a little bit more. But then the further away from the statistically proven edge that we follow, the further away from that you go, you begin to lose that edge. And then your results drop, and then your psychology comes into play, because you're now trading just a discretionary approach and not a mechanical approach. And
Yeah.
all of a sudden you're in this downward spiral. You're so far off of what you should be doing that it's just like you're starting again. It has to be regimental, right? It has to be boring. It has to be
Yeah.
boring. Like people don't believe me. Like the amount of times I'm in there, like I've been on the charts for about 10 minutes this week. Like, what are you doing? Messaging me at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Like, we should have been done
Yeah.
hours ago. Like, why are you
Yeah.
even looking at trades here? And
I
I
don't
think when
even
you,
look at the charts when it's done.
I
I get on with my work. I'm like,
honestly,
right, I'm glad
that's
that's over.
yeah. I mean, I don't think I've looked at the New York session for years now. My trading view is closed by 11 o'clock every day,
Yeah.
without a doubt. Like
Yeah.
it's like a hard stop at 11 o'clock. Um, and honestly, I think it takes people a long time to actually ever really make that mental switch. I think people are very sort of enticed into the markets being open for so long, and the fact that you
Yeah.
have been able to really get in that mindset in such a short period of time is really really good, really good. I mean, like I said, a lot of people can take a long time to actually get to that stage, I think.
Yeah.
So on your journey then, I mean, what do you think are some of the key things that have allowed you to make such a huge amount of progress in such a short period of time? Have you got any sort of key factors there that you think that you apply to the way that you do things that people could maybe learn from to sort of help them speed up their process?
I've, I guess in a way, I've always been one to learn from mistakes very quickly, like all through life. So the mistakes I made, I tend not to make again.
Mhm.
With trading, it was a bit different because obviously I was totally new to it. So it took me a few mistakes, which obviously it would anyone. But I like to learn from them very quickly, and
Mhm.
I get very annoyed with myself if not. So I'm kind of one of them people. I definitely have this little autistic edge to me that kind of definitely helps with this. Um, but I mean, it's easy to sit there and say hard work, and the more time obviously you kind of spend in at the right time of day looking at the charts when we do, you just start to see how they work and how they move a lot clearer the more.
Mhm.
So, and like I said, I've been up there every morning for 8 months without fail. Um, and just, I think it's just being methodical, and I had to really kind of drill that into myself. Um, I haven't really used any. I don't know if I can pinpoint anything really, but it's I guess the routine
Yeah.
played a big part, and
Yeah.
the same routine every morning. Um, I don't sit there and sort of look at my phone and stuff in the mornings either. That's well out of the way because that can be a massive distraction. Uh, so yeah, the routine definitely would have been a big part of it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess really, I think that your journey is really a testament to being disciplined and coachable, right? You haven't joined us and then looked in a million different places or been in a million different groups or tried a million different strategies. You've come on board with us, you've completed the training, you've focused on what we teach, and you're now getting the results.
Yeah,
So I think more than anything, I think that's what a lot of people can take away from this. The more you try and do, the worse it's going to get. The more focused you can be, the quicker you're going to get results. And I think, I mean, it's very clear that that's how you've been able to get to the stage you are today is simply through just listening. And you've listened,
yeah.
you've learned, and you've applied. And I think that's really exactly how you've got to where you are.
One thing I will say as well is, and again, I was kind of, and I'm not. It's not a bad thing, and I don't mean it like this, but on a personal level, I in my head, I really kind of, yes, there's the course, and it's good to learn it all, but in my head, I really simplified it because the strategy is the strategy, and there's
Mhm.
obviously a lot more to trading than the strategy we do. And I see people talking about these bits in the community and using all these words, and I'm like, what? And for me, it's like, there's the liquidity. If it crosses that liquidity and there's a good reaction and the change of character, I'm going to place
Yeah.
a trade. I don't,
Mhm.
that. So for me, that was a big thing to kind of get rid of all the complicated technical gump that can come with it.
Mhm.
So that helped me a lot. because it can be, in my head, that
Yeah,
simple.
yeah, yeah. I
If
mean, it should
I
be.
don't know, I hope you see where I'm coming from, but
No,
you
I
know,
definitely do. I definitely do. I think. I mean, this is going to be insulting to a lot of people, right? But I think that a lot of traders want to talk the talk, but very little of them really want to actually just walk the walk and make the money, right? We only do this to make money. So you
mhm.
should do this. You should make money in the easiest way possible. That's the most repeatable
Yeah,
way possible. And that
yeah,
like, who cares if you know, like, you could know everything about everything, but if it doesn't make you money, then why do you care, right? The only
yeah,
reason we trade is to make money. So if you
hmm
can have the smallest amount of knowledge that you can focus on, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you have an
yeah.
easy life? Like
That's
the
kind
amount of
of it.
people, yeah, and honestly, the
That
amount
I
of people
have
that
that knowledge that you taught me, and I'll just take that one handful of knowledge, and if that's going to make me money, thank you very much.
and easy life,
In a
stress
way,
free
yeah,
trading times. That's it. That's it.
in a way,
And I mean, do you know what? I have it a few times. So I don't know how many of the coaching calls you've been on, but people are asking me my opinions on certain pairs or certain trades that they place that are like not even anything to do with the strategy, and I just shut them down instantly. It's like,
yeah,
how can I facilitate people doing something that I do not do myself and that I do not support? Like, if it's outside of the rules that I'm trying to teach you, then why would I give you my opinion on it? Because you know
hmm
my opinion. It's not what I do, so I
yeah,
don't think you should be doing it. And
yeah,
like, it's difficult, right? It is difficult because there is like an abundance of opportunity on the market. There's so much that you can do. It is difficult. You can get very quickly sucked into the markets, but if you can stay disciplined and you can simplify your approach, then it doesn't need to be difficult. It doesn't need to be
no,
difficult at all.
no. I just think like, and I sit there. I'm on every coaching call, pretty much. I am, yeah. And you know, I sit there and I read them, and I just sort of, I don't know. It's not wrong of them to ask and stuff, but in my head, I just think, what's the point? You know, I don't, you shouldn't need to. I just feel like, you know, they're looking. It's easy to look for all them opportunities, but in my head, that just leads to downfall. I
Mhm.
feel, or it
Yeah.
certainly would do for me.
Well, you lose your edge, don't you? You completely
Yes,
lose your edge. You lose your edge in the market. Like,
100%.
I mean, this is something that I think a lot of traders can take away. Like, when you have a strategy, that strategy is only complete when you've collected the data on it to ensure that that strategy has an edge. And when you've
Hmm.
got that, then that's what you focus on. So as soon as you start to just randomly introduce things, that edge has gone, right? Because you do not have that statistically proven advantage in the market. The probabilities are not in your favor at that point. Well, they might be, but you haven't proven it. So you should be following that. And I think so many people just veer so far into the side of discretion that they just lose all sense of profitability. And then
Mm.
it's just a free for all at that point. So yeah, again, I think a lot of people can learn a lot of things by just the way that you have been able to stay disciplined and sort of just focus in on one thing.
Yeah.
Um, so touching on now your sort of trading career going forward and sort of where you want to get yourself to. Obviously, you've got yourself your first funded account. You're obviously still working, you're not doing this full time just yet. What are your plans? I mean, have you made any sort of mental plans as to how you want to get yourself to the stage where you can essentially go full time, or what are your thoughts on that?
Literally, from now, my first goal is to win my first trade, place my
Mhm.
first winning trade, because I want to get that
Get that first payout in.
off my back, because that's killing me. Like I said, it's been a couple of weeks, a week and a half. But you know, the markets have just been a bit slow.
Mhm.
Um, so that is the first bit. The second bit, I want to just kind of get even to where I was before I started the course,
Mhm.
because as soon as I'm there, anything to me after that, you know, obviously I want more after that, but for now, anything after that is going to be a massive bonus. Obviously, I plan on more after that, but
Yeah.
that is honestly my first goal. You know, which might seem a bit silly. You know, and I only took like a 35 funded challenge because obviously, you know, and let's not lie about it. You know, I didn't want to throw £1,000 down the drain to do a 100k challenge,
Yeah.
which, you know, to some people might seem silly, but you know, everyone's finances are obviously very different.
Mhm.
Um, and then, you know, hopefully very soon, I would then put some profits towards doing. I think you have to do the same amount challenge, so it would be another 35. I don't think you can do a different amount. I'm pretty sure you can't. So then that would take me up to 70 funded, which, you know, how
Yeah,
much money do you
I
need to
think you
make?
can. I think you can buy a bigger challenge. I think
Can
you'll be able to
you?
go and buy. Yeah, I think you can go and buy another
Yeah.
buy 100k or 200k. Yeah,
Which I would do, to be fair. So the plan is to then obviously get more funding very quickly.
yeah,
And then I guess in a way, obviously giving up work is a massive thing. You have to have a lot behind you.
for
So
sure.
that's kind of, yes, it's in the back of my mind, but it's
Hmm.
not certainly not at the forefront of it. And um, if I can make enough money to pay for a holiday every year, do you know what I mean? I'm not looking yet massive profits
Yeah, and
in the future, definitely.
yeah,
Um,
and I don't think you
but
do. I don't think you need to, right? I don't think you
no,
necessarily need to. I think if you can manage to do it alongside your job, I mean, push that as far as you can go. I mean, if you can go and get yourself
nice.
multiple six figures in capital and you're still working your job and it's not affecting the way that you're doing things, then why not? Like just have that
Yeah.
safety. Like there's no need to. I say a lot. Don't go full time unless there is a real valid reason to do so.
Mm.
Because it's going to add more stress, right? You don't want to have to stress about money.
Yeah, that's it. That is it. If it makes my life, if I could do this and it makes my life a lot more comfortable alongside work and just take all them stresses and strains away, it would
Hmm.
be huge. And that's why I'm not that desperate. Like you sometimes I see in the community to place these trades, because how much money do you need to make extra a month to make a huge difference?
Hmm.
I certainly don't need to make tens of thousands. Do you know what I mean? It's not. Um, and I think that kind of helps. It kind of keeps you grounded in a way.
Yeah. And also the way that you're doing things at the moment, like you're kind of just you've got the right skills and you're sort of just building yourself up to the stage where you can comfortably trade with multiple six figures in capital without sort of just jumping in the deep end. You end up sort of getting scared and you start feeling these different emotions when you're losing thousands on a position. Like easing yourself into it slowly, starting off with a smaller account, getting some payouts, and then essentially your journey becomes completely risk-free because every
Yeah.
single penny that you're spending going forward is made from your profits. So
Hmm.
you're not investing anything into the markets. Like it is essentially all zero risk, right? And you can then scale up to the stage where you are doing 5, 10, 15, 20, 25k a month from your profits, and you've invested basically zero of your own money because it's all stemmed from the compounding effect from that first smaller account. And again, I think that's also something that people can learn from the way that you've done things, right? You don't just jump into the deep end because you're going to experience emotions that you haven't ever experienced before. So if you can ease yourself into that, you're going to perform far better across your long-term average, as opposed to
Yeah.
being like demo account, 100k account, head
Yeah.
goes, lose my money, veer off of the strategy, try something new, and then you're just in that endless cycle. So if you can just like
Yeah.
slowly get there, focus on the strategy, get some profits coming in, and then I mean it's not going to take you long. Right? You go and do another challenge and you
No.
do 70k, 100k, whatever it's going to be, and you're there very quickly. It doesn't take long to scale, I
Yeah.
don't think.
That was
Um,
my thought. I could have, I could have spent 900 or however much 100k challenges, and great, I'd have passed it because it would have been no different. Obviously, the account size makes no difference. But
yeah.
in my head, I was like, well, let's do the smaller one and let's use the money, hopefully, that you make out of that to then fund the other challenges. In my
Mhm.
head, that kind of made more sense and less risk than the other way of doing it. Um, yeah,
No, definitely, definitely. And your opinion on the sort of whole funding thing, because I mean we're big advocates for going down the funded route. I mean I'm a big believer that it's probably the greatest opportunity to make money online for the everyday Joe, right? People didn't
yeah.
have the opportunity to make anywhere near the amount of money they can now with funded accounts. I mean, do you feel like you would be able to get into the position you are in now if it wasn't for funded accounts, or what's your opinion on that side of things?
There'd be no chance. There'd be no chance. We've got, me and the missus work full time. We've got two children. We've got a mortgage. I haven't got, let's be real, the capital you need. That's why I took a 35 grand challenge, because to me, the percentages that we win trades at is enough.
Hmm.
It's not too little. So the capital you need for it to actually make a difference and personally to make it worthwhile would be probably 20 grand minimum.
Yeah.
And who's got 20 grand sitting around?
Yeah, not a lot of people.
Not many people. Not that they want to chuck at risk it into
stick into a trading
the
account.
foreign
Yeah, certainly
exchange
not.
markets is that. Yeah, so funding is brilliant. I've been careful about it. I think I would only ever use FTMO, which is obviously through your recommendation. They've been absolutely brilliant so far. Obviously, I haven't gone through the payout scheme, but I've watched a few videos on it, and there doesn't seem any confusion or any worry there. The whole MetaTrader thing at the minute, what's going on and stuff, concerns me a bit. But FTMO have got their own contract with them, or however it works. I'm trying not to worry myself too much about it. But yeah, the funding is. I mean, what a way to make money.
Yeah, no, definitely. It is obviously definitely a huge opportunity.
Yeah, the stresses that come with that are the rules you have to meet. Obviously, if it's your own capital, yes, obviously it's your own money that you can lose and stuff, but you're not tied as much with your own money. The aim would be one day to have that, 35 grand sitting there to be able to chuck into an account and trade with. That would be lovely.
Yeah.
Hopefully one day we'll get there.
Yeah, no, definitely. I imagine you very much will. I mean, the dedication and the focus you have on obviously following the rules is very, very clear. So I can't imagine it's going to be too long to get yourself to that stage. One more question from me. Because of the way that your journey started, I think that there's going to be some merit in what you have to say to this question. But what would you say to those people that are on the fence, those people that are sort of in a bit of paralysis in terms of making decisions to again join us, to take any sort of education, to sort of take the first steps with their trading? I mean, what would you say to those people?
I mean, I was terrified, like I said. At the time, I kind of spoke to the missus about it, and she was kind of even, her first words were, "Oh, well, what a load of rubbish." And I was like, "No, listen." And when I explained it to her, she was like, "No, do you know what?" And then ever since, she's been obviously very supportive. And I just took a step back, and I was like, I've got a good job. I earn okay money, but what does it get me? It gets me a roof over my head and maybe a holiday a year. And how we're made to live our lives nowadays is to work till we're 70. I was struggling in my head to get my head around that. So I took a step back and looked at that, and I thought, do you know what? After the chats we had, I was like, let's take that leap. And it without sounding corny, it is literally one of the best decisions I've ever made, because it's even take the money away from it, even to the point where it gets me out of bed in the morning. It gives me something to focus on, because I actually struggled quite a bit before, just with the monotony of life, and without going into that too much. But it did give me kind of like a new lease of life, because it really gave me obviously something to focus on. And I think about it a lot through the day, every day. It really excites me of what can happen. So anyone, who is, it is real, because I've gone through it. I've obviously done it myself, and hopefully, got my account, and hopefully that does bring profits. So it is real, and yeah, it's definitely worth the risk. 100%. When I say risk, I use that term lightly, but it is definitely worth taking the leap to do it, for sure.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, obviously, I'm going to agree with you because it's my company, but I think
100%.
I mean, the only people that lose are those that don't take that first step, right? It's always the most difficult. The first step in anything is the most difficult, but once you've taken that first step, everything is usually plain sailing from there. It's usually an easy process, and it is. Yeah. It gets much easier and it gets much better after you do take that initial leap. So, yeah. Thanks for obviously hopping on with me. I I imagine
Pleasure.
there's going to be a lot of people that are listening to this that have now got a bit of a spring in their step. And again, there's going to be a lot of tips and tricks and pointers people can use for mindset and just how to approach their trading. But yeah, thank you for jumping on, and yeah,
Cheers, George.
hopefully we have another one soon.
Yeah, no worries.